So when we come to practice for a certain amount of time. In the beginning, we will readily do that. We come here for a reason. Most of us come for the reason because they have to come. So we practice more or less readily and put a lot of effort in the beginning into the practice. Until our heart becomes calm, satisfied, more or less satisfied. And then our effort slackens. Because we are more or less satisfied. So we don't want to work as hard as in the beginning. And then after a while, once our effort slackens, the mind thinks about this and thinks about that. That means mostly he thinks about the future. And thinks about the past, comparing, how was it when I was at the beach, or how was it when I was in that country, or how was it when I met that person. And then the wish comes in, to have that in the future as well. So when we are not constantly doing our work, that means actually when we open our eyes, when we start the Buddha, until we close our eyes, so that these kinds of thoughts of past and future cannot come in. And if the future cannot come in, then the only thing that is there is the present. And what do I have to do at the present? To do the Buddha, or to watch the breath, or to do my investigation, or to do reflection, or whatever. To do sitting meditation or walking meditation. Or when it's time, to take my meal. Or when it's time to sweep. Or when it's time to wash my body. The future does not exist anymore. In the past, we have already passed. So, it's gone. And the future has not yet come. But the moment we feel a little bit better, that the dukkha does not oppress our heart so heavily anymore, then our effort slackens and these kind of thoughts come in. And then it doesn't take a long time before we give up. Before we think, oh yeah, this should be nice to do, or this should be nice. That should be nice to do. We want to have some fun, because practice is not really fun. That's what we think. We want to have some fun going down to the beaches, burn ourselves up until we can't stand the pain and then rush into the water. That's what we call fun. And no matter what, it's always the same thing. We get excited and get rid of the excitement. We get in pain, we get rid of the pain. No matter if you call it pain, certain amount of excitement. Be it pleasurable excitement or be unpleasurable excitement. Pleasurable excitement we call lust or desire. Unpleasurable excitement we call anger. And in both cases we have to get rid of it. We have to get rid of greed and we have to get rid of hate. And how in the world do we do that? Well, of course we follow our greed. So we get what we want. And then the greed subsides for a moment. Or we let go our anger to that person, or if we don't find a person, to this thing or to that thing. Then our anger seems to have gone. And that is the big thing that deludes us into thinking that actually to follow one's desire, one gets rid of one's desire. And to let out one's anger or one's displeasantness on other people, one gets rid of it. Isn't it the way we think? Or isn't it the way we acted in the past? When we wanted something, we got it. When we didn't want something, or we wanted to get rid of something, we got rid of it. And that makes it such a strong impression in our heart that this is the way how we can get rid of greed and hate. But just like with the example, laying on the beach and having a suntan. That means burning oneself up, getting hot and hotter and hotter until one cannot stand the heat anymore. That means if we are actually mindfully, we will see the process, that this is actually, we put ourselves into a bucket of suffering, into a bucket of dukkha, into a bucket of unpleasantness. And once the unpleasantness becomes so big, becomes so strong that we can't stand it anymore, then we relieve it by jumping into the water. And the most amazing thing is that we call that the utmost pleasure that we can find. Not the utmost, but one of the big pleasures that we can find. The utmost pleasure that we think is the pleasure of sexual desire or sexual engagement. And it's not, it's just the same mechanism. We heat ourselves up with sexual thoughts and sexual action until we can't stand anymore the pain. And then the thing that relieves us is the orgasm. That's what we call orgasm. So we put ourselves into much pain before, and then we relieve it. The problem is only if we can't relieve it. Then we have to bear the pain. Or we have to bear this unpleasantness. Do you understand that? And it is just because we do have these strange ideas. Following these things will get rid of these things. Huh? Of course, if you had intercourse, at least for the next hour, you don't think about it anymore. But an hour later, you might even think about it. Or a day later, or maybe a week later. It depends on you. You want it again. Are we masochists? Are we sadists that love to suffer? It really looks like. When you really, I invite you to make some reflection upon your life. How often did you do that? And what kind of enjoyment was it? It was the enjoyment that the big pain was disappearing. Isn't it? The pain of wanting something, the desire, it's a pain in our heart until we get it. If it's an object. Or until we get her or him, if it's a person. Then our satisfaction seems to be there for a moment. So if that is the case, if that would be really the case, why don't we stay with our partner forever? And are always happy with our partner. We wanted it so much, huh? But 5 minutes later, we see this, or see that, and want that, or this. And there is no end to it. The more actually we follow our greed and desire, and follow our anger, and this pleasure, the more we get into troubles. The stronger the desire becomes, and the stronger the anger develops. Because we follow always this wrong route. Now the way to counteract it in the practice is not to bring up these kind of thoughts that increase or that foster our desire or our anger. Not in worldly terms. If we want to foster our desire, then foster it to get rid of the kilesas. And if you want to foster your anger, then foster your anger at the kilesas, who bring you so much pain, Because it's nobody else than the kilesas who bring us all this dukkha. It's nothing else than tanha, that it means desire or longing. Longing to be somebody, longing to become this or to become that, or not to be this or to be that. No matter what it is, tanha is the source of our dukkha. And what happens if we can't get what we want? And see more dukkha. So when our practice slackens, we should reflect about what do we want with our life. For instance, when there were some difficult times, I asked myself, do you really want to be reborn again? Do you really want to walk? Learn to walk? Do you really want to learn to speak? Do you really want to go 10 or 12 years through school again? No way. Do you want to be the child of a parent? No way. So I asked myself this. So, why are you not practicing? If you don't want this to happen again, then why are you not practicing again? Everybody needs something to boost up. To boost himself up through difficult times. And when our effort slackens, that means we actually experience some difficult times. So find some means that is within your characteristic tendency, that keeps you going on, that keeps you moving on. If you can't find anything, then find at least a soldier who or a lieutenant, who's on your back all the time. Why didn't you get up? No, it's time to get up. Why don't you do this? It's time to do this. Why don't you do that? It's time to do that. Find that person within yourself. Find something. Otherwise, what will happen is that after 2 or 3 months, we will decide to go, to leave and enjoy ourselves. Enjoy ourselves like I said, like I described, as a sadist or a masochist, to torture ourselves. And then after a while we've gathered enough dukkha to come back. And then we stay for a while and practice a while until the dukkha becomes less, and then we go back again. Do you think if you do that the rest of your life, you will get anywhere? The times when it's getting difficult, and it doesn't matter what kind of difficulty. If we are lazy, or if we just don't seem to have any energy, or just are fed up with all these things, that means actually difficult. If we don't get through these difficulties, if we don't get through this hindrance, and we decide, to sneak out of the practice, then you can be sure of it. The next time, you have to cross it. But the next time, at the point when it becomes difficult, you run away again. And then you run away again. Do you think you can ever make it? Do you think you will get any real results if you do it like this? Running away? Now find something. I really encourage you to reflect upon your life, and find something that encourages you to go on with the practice. Just don't think, today it's too hot, I can't possibly practice, I can't do walking meditation. Today it's too cold, I can't possibly practice. Today it's too humid, I can't possibly practice. Today I'm too tired, I can't possibly practice. And we never ask, who is telling us this? Who is telling us this is too hot, this is too nice, this is too cold, or this is too humid, or this is too sleepy? Who is telling us this? And if we find that person who is telling us this, why do we believe him? Why do we trust him? Well, we do trust him because we have trusted him for the last 10 millions of lives. And that's the only reason why we trust him. He's so intrinsic in us because it's actually what we think it is ourselves. That's why it's so difficult to get a view, to get detached from this thing, to get detached from this notion of self, and say, okay, who is telling me this? Should I believe it or should I believe it not? And then in the beginning you just doubt it. Yeah? Okay. If you think I'm too tired to walk, then I just go on walking. If I'm too tired to do practice, then I just do practice. Then just do the opposite. And you will see, that it will have quite some positive effect. This voice that I'm talking about, the voice of greed and anger that mostly comes up, is that voice that we always follow and that we always believe. We believe it. We never doubt it. And that's why I invite you to doubt it. It constantly promises us this or that. If I do this, and that can be within the practice or without the practice. If I concentrate even more, I will get there. Do we get there? No. We get dissatisfied. So actually what it promises us is wrong. And if we check it out, if we check out this voice, and really say, okay, now I'm doing what you say, and what are the results? I'm even more dissatisfied. And you promised me some happiness. This starts undermining the power of it. If we do not undermine the power in any kind of way, it will have the power. We will really believe it. Now it's too much of practice, now I'm breaking my leg, or I'm ruining my body, or I'm doing this, or I'm doing that. We believe it. Now I need to go to the doctor. I believe it. We are so stupid in believing this voice. Because it never ever tells us the truth. It deludes us into believing this and it deludes us into believing that. It doesn't tell us the truth. It just wants us to try out this or try out that. But without reason, without aim, just to play around. That is its only aim. Being able to play around. Not doing the work constantly. Now let's have a change, Let's have a change of posture. Let's have a change of mind. Let's read something, or let's write something, or let's think about this, or let's think about that. That is the voice. Isn't it telling us it constantly? If it's not, you're really good. And we believe it. So undermine its power. I often say, today I said it in this way, and other times, I explain it in different ways. It always points at the same thing. Undermining the power of the kilesas. And the best way to undermine them is just to put in constant effort in our practice. No matter what, if it's raining, or if it's cold, or if it's hot, just do our Buddha. Or do our investigation. If there is pain or there is no pain, just continue with our practice. If there is tiredness or no tiredness, just do our practice. That is what is going to undermine the power of this kilesa. And then once we undermine the power of the kilesas, we get to have some... Actually, the first time when we actually can breathe freely. Because there's no oppressor who presses us in doing this or presses us in doing that. Presses us in liking this or presses us in disliking that. The first time we can really breathe freely. And that feels good. That really feels good. Once the voice is away for just a few moments or just a few minutes, it really feels good. If there's nobody, and we all loathe it. I don't think anybody of us liked it when our parents told us, just go wash up this, or clean up this, or get up your mess, or go and study. We never liked it. We always wanted to become free. First we wanted to become free of our parents, then we wanted to become free of our boss at the work. That's why we did work on ourselves. And then we don't even realize that we suppress ourselves. That we are actually the worst boss in the world. We are bossing ourselves around. Doing this more, doing that more, wanting this more, wanting that more. And in practice we can see it very clearly. So undermine its power. Or get rid of it. What is the advantage when we do constant practice? The advantage is that we take on hindrances and pass them. If we stop at a hindrance and find an easier way, we not actually have passed this hindrance. So we actually have not gone any step further. We're always looking for the easy way out. But climbing the mountain, no matter what side you start climbing it, it's the same kind of amount of work. Even physics tells us. Doesn't matter, if it's steep or if it's... we need the same kind of energy to get up to the mountain. So running around the mountain and looking for the easy way up, it's really a waste of time. And it's not only a waste of time, it's also a waste of energy. And in the end, we have to walk up, and that's what we loathe. Each step upward, is difficult. And why is it difficult? Because our backpack is so full of things. It's so full of stuff. All the things that we carry with us. All the memories that we carry with us weigh like stones on our path. All the future ideas that we have for our futures weigh like stones on our backpack. And that's what makes it so difficult. So get rid of the backpack of your self-use, and it's just easy to walk up. And just remember or remind yourself constantly, if I don't take this hindrance, I have to face it up in the future. So what does it matter? Do you think in the future it will become easier? No. But the kilesas will tell you. How? Today it's so difficult. Tomorrow it will be easier. So tomorrow I will do it. And tomorrow is today. And they will tell you the same thing. And you will never be able to get past this hindrance. And if we don't pass the hindrance, we won't get up the mountain. And if we don't get up the mountain, we will not enjoy the free view. We will not enjoy liberty. We will not enjoy freedom. Freedom from our oppressor. We constantly put some hindrances in our way. So undermine its power. Undermine the power of the kilesa. And just don't believe it. No? Don't believe him. In the world, if somebody tells us lies, then we don't believe him. He tells us lies 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, and then we know he's lying. So whenever he says something, we just don't believe. He can say whatever he wants, we just don't believe. But with ourselves here, why isn't it like that? We constantly believe this voice and tells us this is nice or that is nice, this is ugly and that is ugly. Why do we believe this inner voice? If it's a good friend, and he constantly lies to us, we don't even listen to him anymore. So I invite you not to listen to the voice of the kilesas anymore. Because that what makes it difficult. It constantly bosses you around. It constantly looks for some results. And we should always remember, if we don't do the work, we don't get the results. And the results are actually the byproduct of our work. And when we start our work, we don't know even what the byproduct will look like. But if we start to look, from what other people tell us or from what the books tell us, then we only look for the ideas we have about this thing. But it's not that what we are going to experience if we just do the work. See, even there, the kilesas fool us. Looking for the things that do not really exist in this kind of way that we are looking for. But they will come on its own. And that is the fantastic thing. They will just come on its own if we just constantly do our work. No matter how long. Now I've did this work, for 6 months. And I don't get any results. So this kind of work is not really bringing me any results. Isn't it? Isn't it the way the kilesas tell us? Or maybe it's maybe we are really more determined, and then it's a year or 2 years. Now I did all this work, for 2 years, and I don't get any results. Of course, the results that you're looking for, you will never get. But within the time, if you really did some practice, there were some results that you overlooked. Because you were not really, your mind wasn't on that thing. It was only looking in the future, and it was not looking what is here in the present. So get rid of this sweet voice, or get rid even of the commentator that is within your mind. That comments this is good or that is bad. Now you should concentrate more on the tip of the nose. Now you should put your concentration on the hand. This is the commentator. Or he says, now it's quiet. The moment the commentator comes into the mind, the kilesas are coming. And we are off our practice. Our mindfulness has lapsed. And then the next thought is this doesn't work out. I should change my method. Isn't it like this? And then 5 minutes later, I should change my method. This is not working out. It's only the game that we follow of the kilesas. If we would just do our work, just do our best, just keeping at the Buddha, and whenever the Buddha goes astray, we put it back. We put our mind back on the Buddha. Or if it's with the breath, we put it back on the breath. Or if it's with investigation, then we put it back on investigation. And that's all what we do. And the byproducts will come by itself. There will be peacefulness if we do samadhi, and even happiness comes up if you just do this. It has to come up. Because it's one of the nature of our heart. To be completely serene, to be peaceful, and to be happy. And especially to have a lot of metta. That means loving kindness. It is one of the natures of our citta. The moment you're really centered, you have for all beings, and not only for the ones you like, you feel metta. That's why in the forest tradition we never practice metta. Because metta is at the basis of the heart. So why should we practice? All what we need to do is, and that is the forest tradition, we should look to find the way to the heart. And whatever riches are in the heart, then we will find it there. And that's where happiness arises. That's where calmness arises. That's where metta arises, the loving kindness arises. That's where it is. So we only have to break through to the heart. Do you understand that clearly? And everything that hinders us to break through, we will get rid of. It's a very simple technique. We don't have to think a lot, about this. We just have to do it. We have to put our attention, our interest into it. But our interest only comes if we think about, if I do this for 3 months, I will become a sodapanna, or I will become enlightened, or something like that. Or I will become a famous teacher. And all these people, looking up to me. Oh, wow. That's what is going on in the background. And when that is going on in the background, how can our work bear fruits? We cannot. Because we're looking for something. Once the heart is unified, where is the looking for something? It's gone. We are complete. When we drop into Appana Samadhi or deep state of Samadhi, we are complete, we are holy. There's nothing missing. And the only thing that our desires arise or our anger arises if there is something missing. And the only thing that is missing is that we are not whole, that we are not one-pointed. So get into the one-pointedness and there's nothing that you need. Nothing. It's complete in itself. It's so complete, You can't even describe this completeness or this holiness or wholeness. Wholeness and holiness are very closely related. So it comes from a person who is whole, is holy. Is a holy person. So I just encourage you to just do the work, just go through any kind of difficulties you have. If it's hot, go through hot, If it's painful, then go through pain. And see what kind of, what is hotness, investigate. What is heat? Well, the body starts to sweat automatically. We don't have to encourage the body to sweat. The body does that automatically. It starts sweating. But we don't like this. So we will stay with this feeling of we don't like. Or with this feeling of unpleasantness. Until this feeling of unpleasantness, just disappears. When I sit in Samadhi, sometimes I get up, and my cloth is completely wet because of the sweat. In the beginning I might notice it, and in the end, I just don't, I'm not aware. When I get up, I say, it must have been hot, or humid, or whatever. And the same thing is when it's cold, or the same thing when it's tired. Just go through this tiredness. Just see it, okay, it's something unpleasant. It's difficult time to concentrate, so let's enforce the Buddha a little bit, Buddha, so that we wake up again. Or just let's do one more step, or one more Buddha, and then, after a while, we've gone through this tiredness. And not given into. And that is the way to success. Just go on. Go on doing whatever you do. Be it Samadhi or be it an investigation. Just go on doing. And don't look for ourselves. Please, please, please. Just do your work and the results will come by themselves. Don't worry. Just worry about that your mind is not with the Buddha. That is the only thing you have to worry about. Or worry that your mind is not with the investigation. That is the only worry that is allowed. No? But the worry about that the results won't come, why don't they come, why is it so difficult? What's the use of asking yourself why it's so difficult? Just go through the difficulty. And if we are determined, we can go through any kind of hindrance. Because the hindrance are actually delusions. They are, the moment you are 100% determined, the mountain disappears. The mountain that you couldn't climb becomes a curtain of light. You just walk through. The pain you couldn't stand, becomes a curtain of light. You just walk through and it's gone. Amazing, isn't it? But we see it, you face it and say, oh no, why it's me? Why me? Why do I have to face this stuff? Worry about only one thing. Why are you not mindful? Why are you not with your Buddha or the breath? Or why are you not with the object of investigation? And that's the only worry that is really allowed. All kinds of other worries are not. Are the work of the kilesas. Don't give in. And the more you close the door of past and future, the better the results will be. If you think about next year I want to do this, or next year I want to do that, or even in 2 months or 3 months, then your thoughts will be occupied with it. And actually you have built a future already. And that will keep you from seeing the present moment. Whatever happens tomorrow, let it happen. We cannot predict it anyway. We don't know it anyway. Even the next moment we cannot predict it. We don't know if the Buddha is deep, or if the Buddha is fast, or if the Buddha is slow. The next Buddha we don't know. We know only this Buddha. Or we know only this breath. This breath is deep. The next breath we don't know. Because the next breath has not arisen yet. So what to speculate? We can of course speculate what the next breath will. We speculate it because we know, okay, this breath is deep, the next breath will be deep again. But it might not be. This breath and the next breath differ. And we have to see this difference. That each thing, each moment is different. And that actually can keep us our interest. Or this Buddha is different from the last Buddha. They are different. Each one is different. This moment is different from the next moment. But we like to extrapolate, from this moment to the fast future or to the far future. Huh? Wonderful, If you do like this, if we continue working like this, we will reach there. Huh? But we don't continue working like this. The moment we think like this, we do not continue working like this. It's a maze that we have to cut through. And the best way to cut through is just to be mindful with the present moment. Just do the little things, and just face up. Look in the face of all the hindrances and just pass them through. Pass through them. If you think you can't make it, it's the kilesas that think they can't make it. If you think you will die, it's the kilesas that think they will die. Let them die. And you will be free of the oppressor. But actually we tend them, we foster them. We prop them up, just like they are our kids, our real kids. And with this, I end my talk. Keep on. Just do the work. And worry only that about your Buddha or about your investigation. And then I promise you, you will get happy. you will have good results and fast results. If you worry about anything else, the more you worry, the more delayed or may not even come. The last time we had a meeting was quite interesting, wasn't it? It was over 2 hours. Nearly 2.5 hours. But the time passed by like it was just a few minutes. When you read the Patipada, or when you read the biography of Ajahn Mun, when Ajahn Mahabodha talks about, when there are two practitioners or when there is a group of practitioners who are experienced in practice, they talk to each other. For others to listen in, it's so fascinating. You lose all time. When Ajahn Mahabodha talks about when he visited Luang Pu Kamdi or Luang Pu or this other Ajahn or that other Ajahn, they might have talked for 6 or 7 or 8 hours. And if there wouldn't be the occasion, we would have talked on. The kind of things that you heard is something that you probably won't hear very often. I hope you put it in your heart so that it might come up in a certain time. It's something special, and I remember within the last 7 years I had 3 occasions about this, where I could talk like this, where it was really interesting, and it was really exciting for me as well. When you look at a teacher of Dhamma, you can compare it with a graduate student or a PhD student, teaching people in high school. It's not really interesting. It's basic stuff that he teaches. The more advanced the people are, if they start to go to university, undergrads, then it's still basic. But if they become graduates, their mind, their interest, their experience, their knowledge has come up so that it's actually exchange for both sides. So the teacher who talks with a student like this, it's an exchange. You always get something from it. So it's exciting in one way. It's not the usual one-way talk from a teacher to his students, but it's a two-way exchange. Talking about one's experience and finding solutions for problems. What did you do when you faced this difficulty, or what did you do, or how? When I faced this difficulty, I did this. This is really something that is very special. And in the beginning, Thanachand, when he wasn't experienced in this way, he always loved to listen into these kind of talks. When there are people coming back from a long retreat in the wilderness or in the cave, then he just sneaked in and listened behind. It is something fascinating. It is going on. It is going out from the heart. So, I hope you do remember some things, or at least you were so concentrated that you could listen in with your heart. If you could listen in with your heart, these things will pop up at certain times. And these special occasions will only arise if there are coming special people. Otherwise, you cannot teach. It's the same thing. You cannot teach, even if he knows everything. You cannot teach a high school student more than he understands. He develops his understanding in the course of training. The higher he gets, higher his education is, the more he understands. So the more the teacher can give. And the teacher knows what the student can take. And it is the same thing with Dhamma. So if you think that the Dhamma that I teach is most basic, then look at yourself. It does not need to be so basic. It can be extremely high level. And that was one of the rare occasions 2 days ago, where it was really getting interesting. It was not yet up to the highest level, but it was really high. The moment we were still talking about greed and hate, the moment we start talking about delusion and avijja, then it becomes really, really interesting. Because these are insiders experiences. And it's interesting for me as well, to find out from a person, his experience in these kinds of matters. That keeps me up, that keeps me going. And I enjoy it as much, whenever one of you, gets a deep insight. I enjoy it as much as you do. Don't worry.